What's up guys, NeroX back again for another YouTube video. I if you've followed my channel for a little bit, you'll know that I did a music-based show, a few years ago. I stopped it because I didn't like how most of it came out. I didn't like the way, I feel like I hadn't found my voice yet when it came to reviewing things on YouTube. I hadn't really found myself on YouTube yet, if that makes any degree of sense. So this is going to be my primarily live action show. I don't really feel like recording footage of a game for this type of a thing. It's called Diggin in the Crates, in case you couldn't tell by the title, picture before this. Oh man, what else can I tell you guys? I'm going to be reviewing not only albums I want to do, but albums by request. If you want me to look at an album, be sure to drop a comment on that below, or at me on Twitter, which you'll find in the header of my channel, you'll find my Twitter name, or my Instagram, whichever you want. But yeah, this is going to be my live action series. I apologize for the terrible filming in advance. It's kind of hard to film when the majority of your family lives in the same apartment building. But yeah, this is my first Digging in the Crates video. I'm anxious to see how you guys feel about it. If you like it, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff if you want more. And this is going to be taking the place of my Mobile Game Mondays series for a little while. I want to try this out. I want to see how it comes out. And, maybe, just maybe, I'll be able to do them both in the same week. Yeah, that's all I can really say about that. I hope you guys enjoy it. The first review is going to be of Nas's Illmatic. Ooh, man, this should be fun. Yeah. Well, enjoy the video. Peace. Illmatic. Nas's Illmatic, his debut album, is cited to this day as one of the most influential, important, impactful, all the other fancy I words, hip-hop albums, East Coast hip-hop especially, of all time, and is widely considered still to be one of the greatest albums ever devised and released by a human being. But I can't review it based off of everybody else's feelings on the album. I have to review it based on my own. So I'm going to start you guys off with a little bit of background about Nas's classic. Nas's Illmatic dropped in 1994. He was 20 years old. Let that sink in. He was 20 years old when this album came out. This means that he had to have been 18 and 19 during the years it was recorded. That is absolutely bananas. That is outright crazy. I am shocked that people can barely record an album somewhat coherently within 2 years, let alone record in their 30s, let alone record one at 18 or 19 years old. Moving along, another interesting tidbit about this album is that it didn't go platinum until a little bit over a decade after it came out. The reason for this is because this album was leaked and heavily bootlegged, which unfortunately happened to Nas on another album, but that's a story for another day. This album was bootlegged so often, primarily because, a bit more background information about Nas. He was highly known as one of the finest underground MCs of the early to mid 1990s before he dropped Illmatic. If you looked for mixtapes such as Live at the Barbecue, you can see that Nas was clearly on the rise and really developing as a fine artist. But that's enough with the background. Let's start discussing my personal highlights of this album. One of them obviously being the production. The beats on this album range from jazzy to intimidating to relaxing to sample heavy, which is, a story for another day, whether or not you like or agree with sampling. But no one can deny that the beats in this album are absolutely sensational. They all are coherent and fit well with the themes discussed in the album, while each producer still maintains their own individual and unique style. For example, Pete Rock and Q-Tip are far more jazz-oriented in their production relative to everyone else, whereas DJ Premier is very minimalist and well known for his simplicity in constructing and crafting his beats. Well, another highlight of Illmatic, obviously, is the lyrics. I mean, Nas spits first of all, New York State of Mind contains one of Nas's most quoted rhymes. I never sleep because sleep is the cousin of death. Or it's rather his most quoted lines, I should say, not so much a full rhyming bar. But New York State of Mind definitely really helped set the tone lyrically for the entire album. It's kind of all over the place. Like, it's almost like a brag song. Like, It Ain't Hard to Tell is more of a brag song than New York State of Mind is. But New York State of Mind really helped set the tone lyrically for the album. And another fun thing about it is Nas is well known for his ability to start a song off right, which can be just as critical as writing a clean chorus of it or writing, a funny or clever punchline, to throw in the song. He did New York State of Mind in one take. I'm not kidding. New York State of Mind is literally just that one take. This has been confirmed by several producers, as well as people that were there in the studio, Nas's people, producers that worked on the album. I think DJ Premier produced this song, and that's amazing. I'm still shocked that he managed to do New York State of Mind in one take. But moving along, the other highlights of this album, song-wise, are New York State of Mind, as I just stated. Ooh, wow, a smooth transition. New York State of Mind, It Ain't Hard to Tell, Lysa... I'm not going to say the name because I don't want to get in trouble. The full name of it anyway, look it up. New York State of Mind, It Ain't Hard to Tell, Lysa... And what's that other song? It's toward the end. Oof. Jeez, I can't think of the name of it. But... other than that, let's talk about the low points of the album. Now, Illmatic is a solid album. All the songs together are solid. Oh, One Love. That was the song I was thinking of. Illmatic is still a very solid album, but it does have its flaws, as all pieces of art do. One of them being Nas's delivery in places. Now, like I said, he was about 18 or 19 when he was recording this album, so he hadn't, at least in my opinion, he hadn't quite yet found a style of delivery that he felt comfortable with. Now, obviously, I'm nowhere near, I was born in 96, so I'm nowhere near old enough to have been in the studio with Nas when he was recording that album, but that's, at least in my opinion, his vocals are a bit off in places relative to the beat. This doesn't happen all the time, but when it does happen, it's kind of easy to notice it. Another problem that I do have with Illmatic is, man, this is a tough one. It's really, really, really hard to not compare Nas's later albums, some of which have more high points, more low points, blah, blah, blah. It's really hard to not compare his later albums, as well as other albums that were out at the time, to this album, objectively, and not be objective, because, the West Coast had started to really take over hip-hop in the early 2000s, so 94, Illmatic drops. It's sort of in my opinion, I want to stress, this is solely my opinion, it's sort of a reintroduction to the East Coast style of production, as well as East Coast hip-hop in general, finding a new lease on life when this album came out. Oh, man. Wow, that's a lot to talk about. But overall, I do think Illmatic is a classic. It has aged a bit in terms of production, as well as some of the slang Nas says on the songs. It has aged quite a bit. It's a little over 20 years old now. Man. But definitely give it a listen, even if you're not a fan of hip-hop. And this is like a really hard thing to say. If you're not a fan, even if you're not really a fan of hip hop in general, you should totally listen to this album. Go check it out. Stream it on Spotify, whatever. Check this album out. And this is coming from someone who listened to it a lot when he was a little kid, even though I probably shouldn't have been. But as I got older, I really learned to appreciate the album that much more.